Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, beautiful souls, light warriors, old souls, and evolving beings. So, today is a story that I'm going to share, and I'm going to share it because the Lionsgate portal is coming in, and that's a very important date. If you don't know, that is August 8th, 2023, coming up. And do go back and listen to my last video. It's only 5 minutes about putting in your requests for the day that I return to a sacred site and ley lines that I was brought back to after a crazy 40-day, not easy, very intense journey, but wonderful. And I am just so excited for humanity. I can't even begin to tell you. But here's a question that many people ask: is it possible for a 5-dimensional plus being to be able to live in a 3D world? Let's say, even with a spouse or a child or your best friend. Can they operate on a totally different level than you are at? And can you survive and live? Now, in the past, I have spoken about when it is absolutely time to leave a spouse, a friend, a city, wherever you may be, because karmically, you have finished what you needed to finish. And as hard as it is to walk away, and I know it's something that has to be done for your growth, and it has to be done for the individuals you are with to be able to grow. So go back. It was one of my very early videos. It was probably February or March that I spoke about when to leave those karmic relationships. And I'm bringing it up again because, boy, these last 40 days have been intense for so many individuals. And you are literally peeling off and letting go of things that no longer serve you. And an entire overlay has come down into the world. And I want all of you to experience the best of the best and let go of the rest. It is your time to shine. It is your time to do what you love. And in order to be able to do that, you have to be able and willing to look honestly at those around you. And this is why I'm going to share this specific story. I am changing the names. I'm changing a couple of the circumstances because I just need to keep the anonymity still for now. So, around 2015 is when huge messages started coming in once again for me. Again, I've been unbelievably connected since birth, but it was a transition and it was a warning for me to start to really prep up, because I did know that I was going to have to leave absolutely everything. My heart knew, and I wasn't ready because I loved many people and circumstances and belongings and all of those things. And one has to be incredibly strong, which many of you have shared the same stories of literally just walking on. So that extra push was around 2015. By 2017, I was able to really, really see scenarios as they were. But again, my heart was still trying to believe that if I loved enough, if I cared enough, if I did enough, if I could use my powers strongly enough, I would be able to manipulate, yes, the situation around me so that those people would wake up, so that then I didn't have to leave them. Because I am the most trusting, believing, positive individual who believes in the best for all. So come the time period from, let's say, mid-July to 8/8, the Lion's Gate. I'm thinking it was around 2017. An individual we'll call Bob, who I love dearly, knew his family for his practically my entire life, had a growth on their back. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, yes, that is most definitely a melanoma mole. I could spot it because, of course, you know I worked with kids with cancer and had been in that industry. My father also died of melanoma. And I had seen it, I knew what it was. And so, without telling that person, I automatically started working on healing it with energy. And energy and healing, the ability that I have, you do not have to be in that location. You can use that energy and move it anywhere in the quantum field. It was something I was born with that gives not only my hands that energetic power, but also the ability to work in a higher dimension and bring that dimension to the other individuals, as long as it's in their soul contract and as long as they're ready to heal. So, beautifully, within 30 days, the whole thing grew out, sloughed, and completely fell off. It was on the lower back, about, let me see. No, basically lower back. And that location told me that that individual was still holding on to a tremendous amount of guilt, a tremendous amount of anger, a tremendous amount of unexpressed emotions. And so that location, because it was directly on the spine, told me what was going on. The problem is that individual is a very 3D individual and could not see beyond or even remotely believe in these types of healings or other things that were going on in the world. And that's okay. I completely understood that. And that person was I allowed to be in the place that they needed to be in and basically would come and go as necessary. So Bob lets me know that to his great surprise, because he could not set an appointment in 30 days, the first appointment was 45 days out to see a medical doctor on this. He lets me know the whole thing is completely dried up and disappeared and fallen off. So I'm thinking, ooh, this is wonderful. Bob gets that his body is so strong and miraculous and that it did the healing and to let it go. But that doctor's appointment came up in 45 days, and the doctor looked at the site, said specifically, well, I don't see anything. And he said, no, I don't see anything either. But the doctor said, but we could do a biopsy of the area just to make sure that nothing is there if you're concerned about it. And the individual said, well, I'll think about that. In the meantime, the individual decided not to make any other lifestyle changes, not to explore it, but simply to continue to focus on the fact that it had been there. And that individual could not get it out of their mind. And because they could not get it out of their mind, and those who have done healings with me will understand exactly what I'm saying, which is why I always say, lock in the healing. Because they couldn't get it out of their mind and they kept focusing on it, of course, sure enough, what happened, exact same spot, it comes back. This time, the person is convinced that they must go see a traditional doctor and that they must have it biopsied and looked at. They go through the whole process. The biopsy comes back. The doctor has now convinced them that it's stage 3 melanoma, and of course has given all of the things about what this means, how the whole area needs to be cleaned up and cut out and removed, and on and on. And I won't go through all of the details, but needless to say, right around Portal Day, that person, I got to surgery because that was their choice. So I brought them to surgery. I stayed with them through surgery. If you heard my story about my parents, both of my parents decided to go through traditional treatment. Both of them died, one within a few months, one the second time around 30 days. So one must be able to let other individuals do exactly what they need to do. So I was just there to be loving and compassionate and caring. And because I knew the medical system inside and out, of course, I was willing to kind of be the advocate and make sure everything was done properly to the best of the ability. As I sat there going, I can't believe that this individual is going through this, but it's his journey. So the person goes through the surgery and is a phenomenal healer. So I'm not concerned about any of that. And they go through it and they are coming out of the anesthesia and we're talking and everything's going okay. And they're falling back asleep. And because I know we have to take a car ride for a while before getting to a room, I tell the doctor, you might as well give him just an extra shot of Ativan before you disconnect everything so that he's comfortable and he can heal. So if a person is going to go through the pharmaceutical route and that will help somebody rest and relax and heal, I was like, okay. And of course, I knew exactly what would last for about 4 to 5 hours and then it would simply wear off. So person checks out, get into a room. I'm there to watch over. And I had been really struggling with how many people I would have to let go of in my life and how much of a move I would have to make. And I had been working through the portal and information, and I had been doing so many other things. And so a few hours went by and he woke up and we started having this conversation. It was incredible. All of a sudden, this person was full of incredible understanding. So many scenarios that had gone on in the past, he had true clarity of. There was just this most phenomenal camaraderie and the excitement that I felt for the fact that this individual finally got it was phenomenal. I stepped outside. I was like, thank you, Heavenlies. Thank you, everybody, for bringing this clarity. It is so wonderful to have one person, which is all I had, to be able to talk about all these things that were going on, what it meant for the portal, how people become enablers, how people are the way that they are, how the entire world was changing, on and on and on and on. I mean, we talked for a few hours, and it was the most mind-blowing, wonderful experience I had ever had to date on planet Earth. So he got tired and I was like, oh, just go to sleep and rest and relax and heal up. So he goes to sleep. It's about 9-10 hours the next day. Again, I'm so excited about all this information that was shared. And he wakes up the next day. I check on him to see how he's feeling, how he's healing, clean the wound, do all the things that need to be done, and turn around and say to him, wow, that was a great conversation last night. And he was like, oh yeah, it was wonderful. And he's like, what was the conversation? I'm like, you don't remember the conversation? And he said, no. We had a conversation? He said, all I remember is getting to the room and going to sleep. And I said, you don't remember any dreams, any conversations, anything that transpired from last night? He said, no, I just remember, getting in and relaxing and turning on my side so that I didn't agitate it. And that was it. The person never, Bob, never, ever remembered the conversation, everything that we discussed. And it told me, that scenario, that situation told me that I had just had the most phenomenal conversation with his higher self, as he had been moved his ego away from the situation, and we had the most phenomenal soul interaction. It was beautiful. Now, you know from my previous videos, I don't encourage anybody to have this as a way to connect with your higher self. But my point is, I connected with that higher self of his. And we worked through all of these beautiful, incredible situations and found such clarity for him to forget and go back to living in the 3D world. And I was left understanding that very soon it would be my time to move on, that I would do the best that I could do, but that if the person chose to remain in the old thinking and chose not to evolve, that was his choice. So, the reason I'm telling this story is that portal days are incredibly intense to move into new ways of living. You can't bring everyone with you, whether it's a child or a parent or a best friend or a spouse, a lover, it does not matter. But a portal day comes for you to be able to let go of the dimensional world you no longer choose to operate in. Now, you can pop into those worlds whenever you choose to, once you are strong enough to understand what's going on. But you need to make a conscious choice to love them unconditionally and not put your opinion or your needs on them should you choose to go back. Otherwise, my advice in so many scenarios is you may simply need to walk on. And it is hard, but it can be done, and you will be stronger, and you will meet them in the hereafter or wherever, or as you will find on portal days, in your dreams, as you are resolving the issues that you could not physically speak through or finish or put in that perfect little box that people think they can put it in. Because life is messy and you can't always get through that way. So be aware that many of us who pop in to share our stories, and so many, probably all of you who are listening because you got this far, are higher dimensional beings. Well, you are. You're multidimensional. You are higher dimensional. And you are simply living in this current now moment. And because we are going through the process of bringing our physical bodies with us, it is most important that you honor your highest dimension as all of the DNA codes are getting upgraded, as you are being upgraded, and you set your intentions for the highest and best for all involved, and continue to work from a place of unconditional love, bringing in more of what makes you happy, and being there if you need to be in those circumstances simply as a compassionate being. You are not there to judge. You are not there to discuss or define what is right or wrong. You are there simply to lend an ear if you feel as though it will not detract from your own energy, and or you move on to find others who you resonate with, who are already understanding they are in those higher dimensions, that they are well activated with all of their DNA strands, and that you have moved into a place of wanting to help and be there for others by loving yourself unconditionally first. Do not feel guilty if you move on. Do not feel hurt if you move on. And do not stop yourself from the most important thing, which is your growth and your ascension. If you like this story, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and I hope this has helped you understand that crazy things happen around portal dates. Have a wonderful, beautiful, glorious day. Love you.